In the vast emptiness of Nebraska's rural heartland, where wheat fields stretch like golden oceans and time seems suspended between horizon and memory, Eleanor Reese exists as a living bridge connecting vanished generations to an almost forgotten landscape. Her presence in Millbrook represents more than mere residency. It is an active preservation of collective history, a deliberate act of remembering against the persistent tide of abandonment and erasure. Every weathered structure, every silent street corner carries layers of narrative that pulse beneath surface stillness, waiting for someone patient enough to listen. The architectural ghosts surrounding Eleanor tell complex stories of agricultural ambition and familial resilience. Generations of her ancestors transformed this unforgiving prairie into a community through sheer determination, planting not just crops, but dreams into soil that demanded constant negotiation. Their struggles are encoded in the very foundations of buildings slowly surrendering to time. Wooden structures that once rang with conversations, celebrations, and quiet domestic rhythms now stand as silent witnesses to human endurance. Eleanor's daily rituals are meditative acts of continuity. She tends her small garden with methodical precision, understanding that cultivation is both literal and metaphorical. Each carefully planted seed represents an act of defiance against complete disappearance, a statement that life persists even when external circumstances suggest otherwise. Her hands, weathered like the landscape itself, move with a grace that speaks of intimate knowledge, knowing precisely how much water, how much care each living thing requires to survive in this uncompromising environment. The roads leading into Millbrook have become almost mythological, grass pushing through asphalt cracks, suggesting nature's patient reclamation. Yet Eleanor sees beyond physical deterioration, recognizing transformation as a natural progression rather than a loss. Where others might perceive abandonment, she perceives a nuanced narrative of adaptation. The town isn't dying, it's evolving, breathing differently, maintaining an essence that transcends physical infrastructure. Her understanding of belonging extends far beyond conventional definitions. Community, for Eleanor, isn't about population density or economic productivity, but about continuous witnessing. She carries the unspoken stories of those who came before, their hopes, their struggles, their quiet victories embedded in her very being. Each step she takes through empty streets is a form of active remembrance, a deliberate preservation of collective memory that would otherwise dissolve into anonymous historical footnotes. The surrounding prairie becomes her primary companion, communicating through subtle environmental rhythms. Morning light cascading across empty streets, seasonal bird migrations, wheat fields undulating like living waves. These are her markers of time, her language of connection. She reads the landscape as others might read literature, finding profound narratives in seemingly mundane transitions, understanding that silence contains more information than constant noise. Her family's migration story isn't unique, but represents a broader American narrative of agricultural pioneering. They arrived generations ago, with nothing but hope and agricultural knowledge, transforming raw landscape into cultivated possibility. Eleanor comprehends their journey not through romanticized nostalgia, but through a clear-eyed understanding of human resilience. Each abandoned farm building, each rusted piece of machinery represents not failure, but a complex testament to human adaptability. Twilight in Millbrook becomes a meditation, shadows lengthening across streets where few now travel. Eleanor sits on her porch, a sentinel of memory, watching the landscape shift and breathe. Her presence is both physical and metaphysical. She is simultaneously a human being and a living archive, holding generations of unspoken stories within her. Consciousness. The town lives through her perception, her commitment to bearing witness. What most urban dwellers might perceive as decay, Eleanor understands as profound transformation. Abandoned structures aren't symbols of loss, but repositories of potential, waiting for future narratives to emerge. Her perspective transcends nostalgia, offering instead a nuanced understanding of temporal fluidity, that places, like living organisms, undergo continuous metamorphosis. As darkness gradually envelopes the prairie, Eleanor remains Millbrook's last keeper, not through passive acceptance, but through active spiritual commitment. She represents something larger than individual survival, a commitment to remembering, to understanding that some stories don't truly end, they simply change form, waiting for someone patient enough to listen, to understand, to bear witness to their complex, enduring beauty. What keeps a person rooted to a place that everyone else has abandoned? In the vast, windswept landscapes of rural Nebraska, where towns fade like watercolor paintings against endless prairie skies, there exists a story of remarkable resilience and quiet determination. Her name is Eleanor Reese, and she is the last keeper of Millbrook, a town that time seems to have forgotten. Her story is not just about survival, but about the profound human need to belong and preserve memory. Millbrook sits quietly along a forgotten stretch of highway, its weathered buildings standing as silent witnesses to generations of hope and hardship. The town's population has dwindled from hundreds to just one, Eleanor herself. Each building, each empty street corner holds a narrative, a fragment of history waiting to be understood. Eleanor, now in her late 70s, represents more than just a solitary resident. She is a living archive, a keeper of collective memory for an entire community that has slowly dispersed. Her days are measured not by clocks, but by the rhythms of rural life that have defined her existence. Every morning, she walks the same streets her grandparents walked, her footsteps echoing against abandoned storefronts and empty lots. The wind carries whispers of past conversations, of children's laughter long since faded, of dreams that once animated this small community. Her connection to Millbrook isn't merely geographical, it's deeply emotional and historical. The Reese family has been integral to this town's fabric for over a century, with each generation leaving invisible marks on the landscape. Eleanor's grandfather helped establish the first general store in 1892, becoming a cornerstone of the community's economic life. Her father served as the town's mayor during the challenging years of the Great Depression, ensuring Millbrook's survival when many similar towns simply vanished. These family stories are etched not just in her memory, but in the very soil of this place. But why stay? Why remain in a town that has essentially ceased to exist? The answer lies in a complex tapestry of loyalty, memory, and an almost spiritual connection to place. For Eleanor, leaving would mean erasing generations of family history, of cutting the delicate threads that connect her to her ancestors. Each abandoned building is a chapter in her family's story. The schoolhouse where her mother taught, the church where family weddings and funerals were conducted, the farmlands that sustained multiple generations. Millbrook isn't just a location, it's a living, breathing family album. The economic realities that drove most residents away, mechanized farming, shifting agricultural practices, the allure of larger cities, never managed to sever Eleanor's connection. While younger generations migrated to urban centers seeking opportunities, she saw beauty and meaning in continuity. Her daily routine might seem monotonous to outsiders, tending a small vegetable garden, maintaining the family home, occasionally driving to the nearest town for supplies. But for Eleanor, these actions are ritualistic, a way of honoring those who came before her. She knows every creek's bend, every field's subtle gradient, every wind pattern that sweeps across the prairie. Her knowledge is not academic but deeply experiential, passed down through generations of farmers and settlers who understood landscape not as a backdrop, but as a living entity. The town's decline mirrors broader transformations in rural American life. Technological advances, economic shifts, and changing social dynamics have rendered many small towns, like Millbrook, obsolete. Yet Eleanor refuses to see her home as a failure or a relic. Instead, she views Millbrook as a testament to human endurance, a place where memories are preserved with the same care one might tend a rare, delicate plant. Photographs, letters, farm implements, and family heirlooms fill her home, each item a narrative thread connecting past and present. She has become not just a resident, but a curator, preserving the town's essence for potential future generations. Her isolation is not loneliness, but a chosen form of guardianship. Local historians and documentarians occasionally visit, recognizing the historical significance of her continued presence. They see in Eleanor a living bridge between past and present, a repository of oral history that cannot be found in any textbook. She speaks about Millbrook not with sadness, but with a profound sense of pride and continuity. As twilight descends on the prairie, casting long shadows across empty streets, Eleanor sits on her porch, watching the landscape transform. The setting sun paints the sky in hues of amber and deep purple, a canvas that has remained unchanged for centuries. In these moments, she feels most connected to her family, to this land, to the intricate web of human experience that transcends individual lifetimes. Millbrook might appear abandoned to the casual observer, but for Eleanor, it pulses with life, with memory, with stories waiting to be remembered. Her existence is a powerful reminder that some connections cannot be measured by population statistics or economic indicators. They are measured by love, by memory, by an unwavering commitment to place and history. As night falls and crickets begin their ancient symphony, Eleanor Reese, the last keeper of Millbrook, continues her quiet vigil, guardian of a story that refuses to be forgotten. In the vast emptiness of Nebraska's rural heartland, where wheat fields whisper and time seems to pause, there exists a town that remembers more than it reveals. Millbrook, once a vibrant community, now stands as a silent testament to Eleanor Reese, its last living resident. Her weathered hands hold not just memories, but entire generations of unspoken stories. Eleanor moves through her nearly abandoned town like a living archive, each step a careful negotiation between remembrance and loss. The creaking floorboards of her family home echo with decades of untold histories, secrets pressed between worn photograph albums and dusty family records. Her presence here is more than residence. It's a deliberate act of preservation. The roads leading into Millbrook have long been forgotten, grass growing between cracked asphalt, suggesting nature's patient reclamation. But Eleanor remains, a sentinel watching over architectural ghosts and familial landscapes that refuse to completely disappear. Her daily rituals are quiet acts of resistance against complete erasure, tending a small garden, maintaining her ancestral home, keeping watch. What most people see as decay, Eleanor understands as transformation. Each abandoned building, each weathered fence post carries a narrative thread connecting past generations to this fragile present. She knows every structural scar, every architectural whisper speaks a language of resilience that urban dwellers rarely comprehend. Her family arrived here generations ago, carving agricultural promise from untamed prairie. They weren't just settlers, but architects of possibility, transforming raw landscape into community.